Cố gắng lên, sâu hơn chút nữa. Hít thở đều vào. Sắp được rồi.
The rain hammered the turf like 1,000 tiny accusations, turning the field into a slick battlefield where every step could betray you. I slipped, my cleats skidding out from under me, and before I could crash face first into the mud, strong hands gripped my waist firm, unyielding, pulling me back from the edge. Coach Harlan's breath was hot against my ear as he steadied me, his voice a low rumble that cut through the storm. Easy, Alex. I've got you, always will. That touch lingered longer than it should have, his fingers splaying across my soaked jersey like they were mapping something deeper than muscle strain. I was 18, a freshman phenom on the university's soccer team, chasing scholarships and glory in the crisp fall air of upstate New York. Coach Harlan, 35, built like a fortress from years of grinding through his own pro dreams before they shattered, was the man who saw potential in my raw speed, my relentless drive. He pushed us harder than anyone, his drills a brutal symphony of shouts and sprints that left us gasping. But there was something in his eyes when he looked at me, a flicker that made my stomach twist in ways I couldn't name. Practice ended in a blur of locker room banter and steaming showers, the kind where steam fogged the mirrors and hid the quick glances I stole at teammates' bodies, lean lines and easy laughter that made my chest ache with secrets I buried deep. I toweled off fast, avoiding the mirror's judgment, and headed out into the downpour, my backpack slung over one shoulder. The campus paths were empty, puddles reflecting the sodium glow of street lamps, when I heard footsteps splashing behind me. Alex, wait up, Coach's voice sliced through the rain, and I turned, heart kicking like I just sprinted a full field. He jogged up, his tracksuit clinging to his frame, dark hair plastered to his forehead. Water dripped from his jaw, tracing paths down his neck that I followed without meaning to. You took that fall like it was personal. Everything all right, I shrugged, forcing a grin that felt too tight. Just the rain. Coach. Makes me clumsy. Lies came easy these days, about the late nights, scrolling Grindr in the dark, deleting the app before dawn, about the way my parents' Bible verses echoed in my head every time I caught myself staring too long at a guy in class. He studied me, rain blurring the space between us, and for a second, his hand lifted like he might brush the wet strands from my eyes. It dropped instead, curling into a fist at his side. Clumsy doesn't suit you. Come to my office tomorrow after weights. We'll work on your flexibility. Can't have my star forward pulling a hammy before the big game. The word flexibility hung there, innocent on the surface, but coiled in my gut like a promise I wasn't ready to unpack. I nodded, mumbling thanks, and bolted for my dorm, the rain masking the flush creeping up my neck. The next morning, the gym echoed with the clang of iron and grunts of effort, a ritual that grounded me amid the chaos of freshman year, classes blurring into parties I half attended, hookups that left me emptier than before. I was good at soccer, damn good. Scouts whisper my name in hallways, and Coach Harlan made sure I believed it. He was the steady force, the one who'd pulled me aside after tryouts last fall, his hand on my shoulder as he said, "Kid, you got fire. Let me fan it." That touch had sparked something then. Two, a warmth that spread low and insistent, but I'd chalked it up to adrenaline, to the thrill of being chosen. Weights wrapped, and I found myself in the athletic center's back corridor, the air thick with the scent of rubber mats and faint bleach. Coach's office was a cramped sanctuary, walls plastered with faded team photos, a desk buried under playbooks, and a worn leather couch that sagged under years of halftime pep talks. He was there, sleeves rolled up on his polo, forearms corded with veins that spoke of endless pull-ups and unspoken burdens. "Door," he said, not looking up from lacing his sneakers. I closed it, the click loud in the quiet. "Sit." "No, lie back." "Hamstring stretch." Remember? I dropped to the mat. He unrolled, the foam cool against my skin as I extended one leg. The other bent. He knelt beside me, his knee brushing mine, and took hold of my ankle, gentle at first, then pressing forward with that expert pressure that bordered on exquisite. Pain bloomed, sweet and sharp, and I hissed through my teeth. "Breathe into it, Alex." "Let it go." His free hand settled on my thigh, just above the knee, thumbs circling in slow, soothing arcs. The room shrank, the world narrowing to the heat of his palm seeping through my shorts, the way his breath hitched when my calf flexed under his grip. I stared at the ceiling tiles, counting water stains to keep from meeting his eyes, but my body betrayed me, pulse racing, skin prickling like it remembered a touch it craved. "You're tense everywhere," he murmured, voice rougher now, like gravel under tires. "Not just here." His hand slid an inch higher. Testing. An electricity shot through me, coiling tight in my core. I swallowed hard, the air between us thickening with something unspoken. "Electric." "Coach," my voice cracked, barely a whisper. He froze, hand stilling, and when I dared glance up, his face was a storm, jaw clenched, eyes dark with a hunger that mirrored my own buried chaos. "Tell me to stop," he said, low and fierce, "and I will. But if you don't..." "God, Alex." I've been trying not to say it for months. The confession hung there, raw and reckless. And in that suspended breath, the dam cracked. I didn't tell him to stop. Instead, my hand covered his, pressing it firmer against me, and the world tilted on its axis. We didn't speak after that first unraveling, not with words. His office became our hidden ground zero, stolen hours masked as extra conditioning. Mornings before dawn, when the campus slept under a blanket of frost-kissed leaves, I'd slip into the empty training room. He'd be waiting, coffee steaming on the windowsill, his smile a secret weapon that disarmed me every time. "You're killing me. You know that," he'd say, pulling me close, his mouth claiming mine with a desperation that tasted like rain and regret. Kisses turned frantic, hands mapping territories we'd only glimpsed in fever dreams, my fingers tracing the scars on his back from a career-ending tackle, his lips brushing the constellation of freckles across my collarbone. We were fire and fuel, burning quiet in the shadows, each touch a defiance against the straight-laced world that boxed us in. But secrets have teeth. They gnaw at the edges until the whole thing frays. It started small, a teammate, Jake, catching the way Coach's gaze lingered during drills, his brow furrowing as he muttered, "Dude, Harlan's got a man crush or something." Laughter followed, sharp as shattered glass. And I laughed too, the sound hollow in my throat. Jake was my roommate, all bro energy and beer pong trophies, oblivious to the war raging in my chest every night as I lay awake, replaying Coach's whispers. "You're more than the field. Alex, you're everything." Thanksgiving break loomed like a guillotine. Home meant upstate nowhere. A clapboard house where Dad preached fire and brimstone Sundays and Mom served meatloaf with a side of silent expectations. I was their golden boy, the athlete who'd make it big, marry some sweet girl from church youth group. Coming out? That was a fairy tale for other people. Not the kid who'd learned to pray away his first crush on the neighbor boy at 13. Coach knew. Of course he did. Over lukewarm takeout in his off-campus apartment, a sparse one-bedroom with team flags on the walls and a fridge stocked with protein shakes, he'd shared his own ghosts. "I was you once," he said, voice thick as we tangled on his unmade bed. Sheets rumpled like our resolve. 22. Drafted by the pros. Thinking I could outrun it. Kissed a teammate after a win in the locker room haze. Coach walked in. And that was it. Traded away. Labeled trouble. Buried it deep. Dated women to prove the lie. Until you. His words wrapped around me like chains. Heavy with the weight of years lost to pretense. I traced the lines etched around his eyes, born of lonely nights and what-ifs, and promised myself I'd be different. But promises are fragile as autumn leaves. The team bus rumbled south on I-90 for the away game against Syracuse. Snow flurries dusting the windshield like confetti from a funeral. I sat shotgun, Coach's domain, his knee brushing mine under the dashboard as he barked route directions to the driver. The guys in the back row-blasted hip-hop, trash-talking rivals. But tension hummed beneath it all, rumors festering like an untreated wound. It broke at halftime. Syracuse had us pinned, their defense a wall of aggression, and my focus splintered with every stolen glance at Coach on the sideline, his whistle glinting like a beacon. I missed a pass, clean through, and Jake subbed in, slamming shoulder pads into mine as he jogged past. Get your head in the game. Man. Whatever's distracting you, fix it. The second half blurred into fury. I scored twice, channeling the storm inside into blistering runs that left defenders grasping air. But victory tasted like ash when Coach pulled me aside post-game, his hand on my elbow a lifeline in the crowded lot. Hotel bar. 9 sharp. We need to talk. The team hotel squatted on the edge of town. A beige monolith with fluorescent hum and vending machine glow. I nursed a root beer at a corner booth, nerves jangling, when Jake slid in across from me. Eyes narrowed. Spill it. Alex. You've been weird for weeks, zoned out, sneaking off. And Harlan. Fuck. Is he messing with you? My blood iced. Jake's face was earnest. The big brother concern I'd leaned on since pledgeship. But it twisted now into something accusatory. What? No. Man. It's nothing. Bullshit. He leaned in, voice dropping. I saw you two in the weight room last week. Door half open. Him with his hands all over you during that stretch. If he's pulling some creepy power trip, it's not. The denial died on my tongue. Heat flooding my face. Jake recoiled, piecing it together with a horror that gutted me. You're gay. And with Coach? Jesus. Alex. That's fucked. The team's code. The scouts, they'll bury you both. His words landed like punches, each one echoing the sermons I'd fled home to escape. I shoved out of the booth, chair scraping loud enough to turn heads, and fled to the elevator, heart hammering a dirge. Upstairs, Coach's room was dim, lit by the blue flicker of a muted TV replaying the game. He opened the door in sweats, concern etching deeper lines, and pulled me inside without a word. We collapsed on a bed, his arms a fortress around my shaking frame as I spilled it all. Jake's confrontation, the fear clawing at my throat like bile. He's right, I choked out, face buried in his chest, inhaling the salt of his skin. This ends us. The team, my family, it's all ash if it gets out. Coach's hand stilled in my hair, his body tensing like a bowstring. Then we fight for it, or we walk away clean. Your call, Alex. But I'm done hiding, not from you. The choice loomed, vast and terrifying, as the snow thickened outside, blanketing the world in white silence. Break came and went in a haze of forced normalcy. Thanksgiving turkey chewed without taste. Dad's proud slaps on my back for the season stats. Mom's probing questions about that nice girl from Chem Lab. I smiled through it. Texted Coach in code, missed the rain. His replies, soon. Fire. Hold steady. But the distance gnawed. A hollow ache that followed me back to campus like a shadow. December's chill bit deeper. Frost etching patterns on dorm windows as practices intensified for conference playoffs. The team fractured subtly, Jake's sidelong stares. Whispers dying when I enter the locker room. Coach's drills laced with an edge that bordered on punishing. He pushed me hardest. His feedback sharp as shrapnel. Faster. Alex, dig deeper. But in the quiet aftermath, when the others filed out, he'd soften, a brush of knuckles against my palm, a murmured, proud of you, that mended the rips. One night, after a grueling session under floodlights that turned breath to ghosts, I lingered in the stands, jersey damp, watching him pack cones alone. The stadium emptied, echoes fading, and I climbed down, boots thudding on metal steps. Harlan, I called, dropping the title like a gauntlet. He turned, surprise flickering before resolve hardened it. Go inside, kid. It's freezing. Not until you hear me. My voice carried, bold in the vast quiet. I closed the gap, breath clouding between us. Jake cornered me again today. Says he'll go to the AD if we don't cool it. Thinks he's protecting me. From you. From this. Coach's jaw worked. A muscle ticking. And what do you think? That he's scared. Like I was. I reached for him. Fingers grazing his wrist. Pulse leaping under my touch. But not anymore. I love you. Coach. Not the stretch. Not the secrets. The man who sees me. Broken bits and all. The words shattered something in him. He yanked me close, mouth crashing against mine with a ferocity that tasted of salt and storm. Tears. Maybe. Mingling with a kiss. We stumbled back against the goalpost. Metal cold at my spine. His hands framing my face like I was fragile. Precious. Love you too. Alex. Christ. More than the game. More than anything. It was our first real declaration. Raw and unscripted. Under a sky pricked with stars that felt like witnesses. But love doesn't erase the world. It just makes the fight sweeter. Fiercer. Playoffs dawned brittle and bright. The air crackling with stakes higher than trophies. Regional semis against Cornell, our rivals. Their fans a sea of red howling from the bleachers. I suited up in the locker room home, tape whispering around ankles. But Jake's absence gnawed. He'd faked an injury. Benched himself. His glare from the sidelines a silent ultimatum. Coach's pregame huddle was electric. His voice steady thunder. This field's ours. Fight for every inch, not for me, not for scouts, but for the brothers beside you. His eyes locked on mine, a private vow woven into the public one, and heat bloomed in my chest, steadying the tremor in my hands. The whistle blew, and chaos reigned, tackles crunching like thunderclaps, my boots slicing turf as I weave through defenders, vision tunneling to the net. Cornell pressed, their captain, a brute named Reyes, shadowing me like a curse, shoulder checking at every turn. Midway through the first half, he caught me off balance, elbow to ribs, and I hit the ground hard, breath exploding in a wheeze. Cards flew, yellow for him. The ref's shout piercing the roar, but his trainers swarmed. Coach shoved through, dropping to his knees beside me. Breathe, Alex. Look at me. His hand cupped my jaw, thumb stroking my cheek in full view of the crowd. Cameras no doubt zooming in. No pretense, no pullback. Just us, exposed in the dirt. I nodded, gasping upright, and the game resumed with fire in my veins. Halftime blurred, his quiet, "You're unbreakable" in the tunnel, my fingers squeezing his in fleeting promise. Second half, I broke free, Reyes lunging late, and slotted the winner past their keeper, a curling beauty that silenced the stands. My teammates piling on in euphoric heaps. Postgame, the bus ride home was a ride of cheers. But Jake's silence from the back row loomed like storm clouds. Coach drove, knuckles white on the wheel, and when we pulled into the lot, he cornered me by the equipment shed. Whatever comes next, we face it square. It came swift as a sucker punch. Jake waited in the dorm lounge, arms crossed, AD's email printout clutched like evidence. Anonymous tip, he said, thrusting it at me. Locker room eyes. Alex. Someone saw enough. My stomach plummeted. The report detailed inappropriate conduct, vague, damning, flagging an investigation. Coach's career. My scholarship, teetering on the edge of one leaked photo. One loose word. We tell the truth, Coach said later. In his apartment, the space feeling smaller, suffocating. We pace like caged animals, his hand finding mine mid-stride. Or we deny, separate, but lying. It kills the soul. I thought of home, of Dad's disappointment carving deeper than any loss, of Mom's tears watering the family garden of illusions. But Harlan's eyes, steady, scarred, loving, anchored me. Truth, I whispered. Together, the hearing convened midweek. A sterile boardroom in the admin building. Fluorescent buzz underscoring the gravity. Athletic Director Hale, a silver-haired bulldog with a clipboard of precedents, eyed us across the table. Jake sat rigid in the witness chair. His testimony clipped. I saw touches that crossed lines. Concern for the team. Coach spoke first. Voice even as he laid it bare. No excuses. Just facts laced with quiet fire. Alex is my player. Yes. But he's also the man I love. We've kept it hidden to protect everyone. But no more. Investigate if you must. Our commitment is real. Gasps rippled. Hale's pen scratching furious notes. My turn came. Throat dry as I met Jake's gaze. Hurt. Betrayal warring there. I chose this, I said. Hand under the table, finding Coach's knee. Not coercion. Not confusion. Love. And Jake. You're my friend. This wasn't protection. It was fear. The room hung heavy. Decisions deferred to further review. We left arm in arm. Campus whispers already swirling like leaves in wind. Texts from teammates vacillating between support and shock. A grinder notification pinging with cautious congrats from a guy in bio. Winter break severed us physically. Coach heading to his sister's in Philly. Me enduring holiday charades where dad, so seeing anyone landed like grenades. I came out over pie. Words tumbling clumsy. Yeah, Dad. A man. Coach. Silence stretched eternal. Then Mom's hand on mine. Tears carving tracks. We love you. Baby. Always. Dad's nod came gruff. Hours later. Over scotch in his study. If he treats you right. That's what matters. New Year dawned with tentative bridges. Jake's apology text. Halting but sincere. Messed up. Here if you need. Spring training bloomed under scrutiny. The investigation clearing us after witness statements painted a picture of consent. Not abuse. But scars lingered. Coach's job hung by threads. My draft prospects whispered doubts. Yet in the thaw, we grew roots. Evenings in his apartment turned domestic. Me cooking pasta while he graded film. Our laughter filling spaces once choked with fear. Soccer sharpened. My game elevating with the weight lifted. Scouts buzzing louder. And love? It deepened. Tender in mornings, tangled in sheets. Fierce in arguments over play calls that ended in makeup kisses. Graduation loomed. Cap and gown a milestone. But our real ceremony was quieter, a rainy afternoon drive to Niagara Falls. The roar of water drowning nerves as Coach knelt on mist-slick rocks. Ring glinting, a simple band etched with fire and rain. Marry me, Alex. Not despite the stretch. Because of it, tears blurred the cascade as I pulled him up. Yes, on my lips. Our kiss sealing vows against the spray. Years folded forward. I went pro, a mid-round pick lighting up the MLS with speed that echoed our first rain-soaked save. Coach followed, assistant role in the same league. Our partnership unspoken on sidelines, but evident in sync strategies. Shared glances that spoke volumes. Jake became godfather to our adopted daughter. A fierce toddler with Harlan's eyes and my grin. Her laughter the ultimate redemption. Looking back, that first stretch wasn't just hands on muscle. It was the universe cracking open, whispering of truths worth every risk. In a world quick to judge, we stretched toward each other, bending
Cố gắng
but
lên,
never
em làm
breaking.
được mà.
Proving love's stretch marks are the most
Hít
beautiful
thở sâu
map
vào.
of all.